Hello friends, Mali Ponthadith here, CEO of the SOAR Community Network and co-founder of the SOAR Community Nebula. We are bringing to you champions of change and community builders from all over the world, and I'm delighted today to bring to you someone that has become near and dear in a very fast, quick time frame. Julian B. Kiganda, thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, it is my pleasure, Molly. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited for this conversation.
Absolutely. Well, I know who you are, but how about you reintroduce yourself to our community and share a little bit about what you're currently working on in the world, please?
Absolutely. Well, how much time do you have? Because
Well, we hopefully we'll have you be able to do this in 15, 20 minutes, but we'll see.
Oh, yeah. No, I'll try to keep it on message. So I like to say that I'm a professional storyteller. And what that means is I help businesses and organizations, individuals, really help their brand story, tell their brand story in a way that engages and inspires their audience to act. So we do that in my company through developing brand strategies, actually designing brands, so logos, marketing materials, websites. I would say one of the most exciting projects I'm currently working on is a gospel music museum in Chicago, which is just, I'm so excited about it. Actually heading there next week for the opening or their gospel concert. That's a fundraiser to help the museum raise funds to open. So we developed the brand for that. We're helping design exhibits. And, the thing I love about the work that I do is that every client is different. So I get to put my hand in a little bit of everything.
I'm so glad you shared that. And because you're so humble, I'm going to give you permission to love on yourself a little bit. I'd love for you to share with our audience some of the brands that you have worked on that you can share and that you can proudly say you've successfully helped them with their messaging and their branding.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I say that I'm blessed to be able to just have worked with some incredible clients. So I've worked with Steve Harvey on his Act Like a Success company, which is, it helps, coach and transform people's businesses and their personal lives. Also work with Iyanla Van Zant on some of her projects as well. She's just incredible. Somebody who I have grown up reading her work. So getting an opportunity to work with her has been amazing. The National Urban League, the Nature Conservancy, Turner Construction. Like I said, we're getting ready to start working on the design of this, the National Museum of Gospel Music in Chicago, which a lot of people don't know is the birthplace of gospel music. And that's really exciting, getting to work on that brand and help tell that story. I would have to say, I think one of the most impactful projects that I have worked on that truly was a life changer for me was the Freedom House Museum in Alexandria, Virginia. And that basically tells a story about the domestic slave trade and slaves that went through Virginia down to the South, and tells the story of some of those individuals. But that was just life-changing for me. But truly have had an opportunity to work on some incredible projects over the course of my career.
Yes, your bio is quite impressive, and Alexandria is near and dear to my heart because that's my home city. That's where I live.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to know that you had a hand on that, a very important initiative. And I think these stories, the truths that have been untold for so long,
Yes.
are finally coming out, and they need to be reiterated again and again and again, so we can right some of our wrongs, so to speak. All right, so the next question that I have for you, Julian, is really having us go back into your life and your personal journey. When and with whom have you experienced compassion and kindness and love beyond your expectation, a thoughtful, mindful, conscious leader or mentor that helped to shape and shift you? It could be personal to you, like a family member, or it could be someone who's really outside and an unexpected mentor.
Oh my goodness. That's a tough question. I thought about that. I'm like, that is just such a tough question, because there have been so many people in my life who've made such an important impact. I would have to say, and this one is fairly recent, and I say this because this is somebody who I grew up knowing, but not knowing very well. So there's a gentleman by the name of Edward Magoba, and he actually passed on August 4th of 2019, so not that long ago. But, my family grew up knowing his family, and he was in the community, and we would see him every now and then at different events, but he was usually not around because he was so committed to his work. And he worked at the National Cathedral School for 47 years. And we had a memorial service for him just a few days ago at the cathedral. And I've never seen anything like that in my life. I mean, I've been to quite a few, services, but I've never seen anything like this in my life. So the cathedral is a 4,000 seat cathedral. And that place was overflowing with people who came to celebrate the life of Edward. And everybody who spoke about him, nobody could give you his official title. Nobody could tell you exactly what he did. He was just everything to everyone. And I think the thing that everybody said about him was he was just all about service. His sister-in-law said it seemed like he woke up every day and said, who can I serve today and how can I serve? And then everyone remembered him, children, faculty, parents, everyone from all walks of life all said that he just had this love about him, just unconditional love that he gave to everyone that he came in contact with. So I remember when we're listening to people talk about him, and one lady told a story about how he walked 14 miles in Snowmageddon to get to the school and help shovel so that they could open on time. And I heard these stories, and I said, wow, we've all been, I think everyone in that room felt the same way, that we've all been called to a higher standard because of the way he lived his life and what an inspiration he was. I mean, he, again, not an official title that anybody could think of, but he was just everything to everyone and just so committed to, his community. So I would say for me that I know has just left an indelible mark, not just on myself, but on so many others.
Yeah, over 4,000 people that physically showed up, let alone all of the people he's ever touched in his entire life.
Gosh, powerful.
Thank you for sharing that. So as you move the way you do through life and with all the different communities and circles that you are involved in, when you think of true champions of change, community builders, committed, consciously, mindfully, every day, consistently, all the time, what are some of the characteristics and really gifts and talents that show up all the time consistently in these souls or with these souls, along with these souls?
Oh, yes, that's a great question. And that's something that I think about on a pretty consistent basis because, there's this quote by, I think I first heard Dr. Miles Monroe say it, who was a preacher and a pastor that passed several years ago, but his work lives on beyond him. And he said, and maybe it was Wayne Dyer, but one of those spiritual leaders. And he said, don't die with your music still in you. And so I think people who are change makers, they are so committed to using their gifts to make a difference in their community. And it's not easy. Anybody who's a change maker and is all about really making a difference and leaving a legacy beyond them knows that it takes an incredible level of commitment. And sometimes commitment is all you have to keep you going because it's like, you're doing all this work and you don't see things changing. There's so many people who passed before they could see the influence that they left behind. And often, people have posthumous fame or posthumous influence. But I think that commitment is incredibly important. There's a great quote that says, commitment is that thing you do long after the mood to do it has left you.
Wow.
And so I think that is one of the first traits. And I think definitely, as I mentioned about Edward, just that spirit of service. The thing that I think he did so well was just do everything, not for the accolades, although he got those, he wasn't looking for them, but he did it because he wanted to serve and he wanted to show love to others. So I truly think when you are a true leader, you're going to have that sense of service and a love for the people, that you're serving. It's not to say you don't have your bad days or you don't just want to be left alone every now and then just to regroup. But I think, you know, to be a true leader and a champion of change and a change maker, you really have to be coming from a place of service, you know, to have that kind of impact. And, you know, I think the other thing I know for me is definitely having that spiritual grounding, having some kind of base that you can go to, because I think you have to have a place when you're giving so much of yourself, you have to have a place to replenish yourself. So I think most leaders that I've seen that are change makers, they have a spiritual practice that allows them to stay grounded and connected to even their why, like why they're doing something, and you know, hold on to that why. As a friend of mine always says, he reminds me, you know, when I feel like, okay, I'm done, I don't want to do this anymore, and he's like, Julian, stay on your mission. So I think, you know, true change makers, they stay on their mission.
Right. It's amazing though, sometimes when you are out there really trying to make this impact and you're trying to measure it, right? Like, oh, did I make the impact yet?
Yes.
How many people did I impact? And and really recognize that every day, every single action or word or motion that we take, a decision that we take, whether large or small, is impacting the people around us. And some things are definitely measurable. Other things are immeasurable. They're invaluable. They're all the in and then the verb, right?
So true.
So, or the noun. So let me ask you this. When you think about yourself as a community builder or a change maker, what are some of the movements, causes, initiatives, and maybe even name a specific or nonprofit or two if you would like, but really most importantly, any movements that you personally care deeply about that you are currently advancing?
That's a great question. You know, there's so many incredible organizations out there who are doing just amazing work. And there's some that I you know, try to make sure I support on a regular basis. So one of them actually is called Project Osmosis. And it was started, I think almost 25 years ago by a good friend of mine who's also my business partner, Vernon Lockhart. It's based in Chicago, and it is a program that helps underprivileged youth explore and discover opportunities in the design industry. So over the course of 20 years, they've served thousands of youth, and a number of those youth didn't even know that design was an option for them, but they are now in that industry in different disciplines: architecture, fashion, graphic, web, user interface, you name it. They teach on all the different disciplines, but they have made such an incredible impact on these youth who now are in careers that they never knew were even an option. So that one is very near and dear to my heart. Another one that I actually just learned about recently, but I'm so excited about, I met through this gentleman on LinkedIn. Shout out to social media. I've met some incredible people on social media. So this young man named Rich Akwo, he has an organization called Generosity Global. And basically what they do, which, oh my gosh, it's just incredible. They have both a US base as well as a Africa program, and they bring clean water to communities in Africa. And then here in the United States, they have something called Generosity Showers. So what Rich did was he went and he had this truck built with 4 showers, and it's a mobile shower unit. And basically what they do is they take this truck into different homeless communities in the Baltimore area right now, and they give these homeless people showers. And there's this one video that I watched of this homeless man who hadn't taken a shower in ages. He had bed bugs. And not only do they give them showers, they also give them new clothes to wear after they get out of the shower. And the video of this homeless man who had just taken a shower for the first time in God knows how long, it moved me to tears. So I'm so excited about that program and what they're doing. And there's so many others, but just, you know, thinking immediately, those are 2 that I'm very excited about the work that they're doing and just committed to supporting them.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I love that so much. I think the benefit of us doing this video series is learning about these wonderful initiatives, movements, nonprofits, and especially the grassroots initiatives that you don't hear about. They may not have a huge budget to go and, you know, do their messaging and marketing, but they're on the ground every day creating these tiny acts of kindness that have huge impact, right? And I love that mobile unit. I love the fact that we have thousands of our young men and women who are now in design when it wasn't an option. That's so cool. Okay, I'm going to move this along because I could sit and talk to you passionately about this for a long time. So the next question that I have for you is really about just the ebb and flow of life, right? We're talking to a community of mindful, thoughtful, conscious leaders and aspiring leaders who even want to understand what that means. Like how does one be a mindful, conscious, compassionate leader? So as you're thinking about the audience, and we're thinking about the audience, we also want them to recognize that it's not like you can snap your fingers and become this, evolved human, right?
Yes.
There are times in life that have been difficult, and there's trauma, and there's all these things that we have to overcome. So I want to help them understand the human element of what being a true holistic leader means, including the flaws, including the times when it was not pretty and the ugly cry times and all those things. So that being said, when life has been difficult, when you have been, the rug pulled from underneath you, when you can tap into those moments, is there a quote or a philosophy or a mantra or even scripture that carry you through? I'd love for you to share that so that maybe there's some nuggets that people can take and use for themselves.
Yeah, there's so many. And I think, what I've come to learn, and if you're on this journey long enough, you recognize there's hills and valleys. It's usually, if you're on a hill, you're eventually going to get to a valley. If you're in a valley, you're eventually going to get on a hill or a mountaintop, And I just use different things for where I am. And I think, I kind of touched on this earlier, but I think it's so, so, so important to know your why. Because if you don't have a why, if you don't understand what your purpose is, I talk a lot about purpose. That's something I'm very passionate about talking about. If you don't have that, then it's very difficult to get out of those valleys, And so one of the quotes that I use regularly, and I remind myself of whenever I get into that space, and I have to remind myself this isn't about me. I'm not sure if this is going to show up on the screen or not.
We can see a little bit of it. Oh, there it is.
A little bit, yeah. So it says, "Stop hiding your light, that someone out there is waiting on you to use your gift to help them shine."
I love that. Wow.
And that quote, I actually pulled this card out yesterday, just as a reminder to me that, when you get so into yourself and so caught up in your own stuff, that you're actually burying your gift, you're burying your light. And, light drives out the darkness. And without that light, there's somebody out there that's not living their purpose because you haven't used your gift to help them get there. So it's just a very humbling reminder that, our purpose really isn't about us. Our life isn't about us. Like, how are you going to use your gifts, your light, to help others shine?
That's fantastic. Well, we're coming to the end of our interview, and I have a couple more questions. The next one being, what would a better world look like through your eyes? If you could imagine it and design it, what would it look like? What needs to happen to create a better world?
Oh my goodness, that's a whole nother conversation. That's like a whole nother video. But gosh, I think I have to just go back to Edward. When I think about the world he was able to help create just from serving and from coming from a place of true love. Like I heard nothing. Nobody had anything negative to say about him. I think for me, when I look at what the ideal world would look like, it would be every single one of us doing things from a place of love and of service. Because I think once you have that, you don't even have room for me, and this is all about me. And, so at the end of the day, I really think that when you're doing things from a place of love and service and purpose, one of the things that I'm very passionate about is helping people uncover and live out their purpose. And every single one of us, that's a journey we have to take on our own. But I truly believe that once you discover your purpose, when you have people who are purpose driven, the world looks different, because there's a statistic that says 70% of people are working in jobs they do not like. Right. That means there's a lot of people who are not walking in their purpose, and a lot of people who are not bringing their best selves to work because that's not where they're supposed to be. So I would say, an ideal world would be where everybody knows what their purpose is and they're living it, and then they're living out that purpose from a place of love and service.
That's great. Well, what can our community do to support you right now, and how may they reach out to you or learn more about you?
Ah, that's a great question. Thank you. So you can find me. LinkedIn is where I am most active. So just Julian B. Kiganda, just search me on LinkedIn. And then on every platform, you can find me under both my company, JBK Brand Design, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. And then again, every platform, my personal is Julian B. Kiganda. And I would say, you know, the thing that I'm most passionate about is helping to tell our brand stories from a multicultural perspective. So, you know, anything from brand design to marketing campaigns, websites, exhibits, you know, working on those types of projects are the things that just make my heart sing, and that's how I know I'm walking in my purpose. So,
Or launching museums,
then launching,
telling historical, stories from the past, and
yes,
I mean, powerful, beautiful projects. Thank you
yes,
so
thank
much,
you.
Julian, for taking the time to be with me today, for being the community builder and the change maker and the champion of change that you are. I really appreciate all of your efforts, all the initiatives that you say yes to. It matters, it's important, and we appreciate you.
Thank you, Molly. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. For those that are watching, thank you for following us and being a part of this global initiative to bring some good news, to bring some good vibrations, to bring some positivity to you as you're looking through and scrolling through social media. Hopefully this will be another source of inspiration for you. Remember, please, to nominate yourself or someone in the community that's making a huge imprint, and we'd love to feature them. Please visit us at nebula.soarcommunitynetwork.com. Thanks, everyone.